Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. Secret spot of the Russian soldiers has been revealed. Military equipment hidden by the Russian forces, who were getting more and more difficult on the fronts, were found. Ukrainian artillery units, together with air support, hit a key point for the Russian forces. With the support of artillery and warplanes of the 25th Air Assault Brigade of Ukraine, Sikoslav destroyed the military supply and secret armored vehicles of the Russian troops. Increasing their advance on the fronts, the Ukrainian soldiers are able to capture many secret points and Russian military equipment with each advance. This increases the tension in Moscow even more. Ukraine's moves towards Russia are not only this. Ukraine carried out 14 airstrikes on critical points of the Russian forces during the day. It was announced that these attacks were carried out in areas where the Russian forces have weapons and military equipment, strong points, and anti-aircraft defense systems. Ukrainian rocket and artillery units also announced that 2 Russian command centers, 3 areas where Russian forces, weapons, and military equipment are concentrated, and many other important targets were hit. These units, which have carried out hundreds of critical shots so far, prove their success and become an incentive for countries to send support. Ukrainian anti-aircraft artillery destroyed 4 Russian helicopters, 45 cruise missiles, and 2 drones. Russian equipment destroyed by Ukraine is not limited to these. Since the beginning of the war, Russia has lost around 72,500 military resources, more than 2,700 tanks, and more than 5,500 armored combat vehicles. In aviation, it lost more than 15 operational tactical-level unmanned aerial vehicles, 261 helicopters, and 277 aircraft. Losses like these, reaching serious dimensions, seriously reduce Russia's operational power both in the air and on the ground. At the same time, the Southern Operational Command of Ukraine announced that the Russian forces hit the vicinity of the Bostonka and Mykolaiv regions on the Mykolaiv front and opened fire around the Borislav region on the Kherson front on the line of contact. It was also reported that Russian forces carried out aerial reconnaissance in the regions. Russian forces reportedly deployed the Grad multiple launch rocket system and heavy artillery to bombard the area around northern Kherson, which was taken under Ukrainian control last month. Russian soldiers are making moves to try their last chance. Ukraine's air defense forces, on the other hand, announced that they destroyed 2 Russian Kamov Ka-52 attack helicopters around Borislav on the Kherson front. The Ukrainian armed forces also attacked a group of military personnel located at the strong point of the Russian forces around Snehorivka on the Mykolaiv front. All such critical moves of Ukraine create a great panic atmosphere in Moscow. Russian forces, with their last equipment, carried out more than 45 attacks during the day with 15 airstrikes, 60 missile attacks, and multiple launch rocket systems. Russian forces reportedly attacked over 50 locations, including the Solder, Vesel, and Solder regions. Especially after the major defeats it has faced, many countries continue to react against Russia, which has increased its attacks on critical infrastructures. Moreover, as it is known, such attacks do not benefit Russia's military success. These attacks of Moscow, which only carry out attacks aimed at inflicting damage, actually end up worse for itself. Because it seems that whenever Russia launches an attack on infrastructures, it cannot gain any military gains, and on top of that, it accelerates the aid to Ukraine. In recent days, as an example of this situation, many countries, especially the United States, announced that they would send air defense systems to Ukraine after the Russian troops attacked the infrastructures in and around the Ukrainian capital. Moreover, normally some of these air defense systems would either not be sent or would be sent later. But after Russia's increasingly critical attacks, countries took action. The date of the air defense systems to be sent to Ukraine was delayed, and they started to be sent more quickly. In this way, it is ensured that Ukraine gains more advantages in the war. In addition, the number of Russian aircraft being destroyed is increasing day by day thanks to these systems and the accurate moves of the troops. In recent weeks, Russian troops have specifically targeted critical energy infrastructures. After the attacks on these points, there were power cuts in many regions. However, according to breaking news, 12 countries joined forces after Moscow's attacks on infrastructures. These 12 countries will send support and help in repairing damaged infrastructures in Ukraine and meeting the critical needs of the country. Such developments, on the other hand, cause Russia's attacks to go to waste. At the same time, the ammunition used in the attacks and the military equipment destroyed while being used for the attack are also used for nothing. Especially for Moscow, which has been experiencing serious resource problems recently, encountering such situations may cause the course of the war to turn completely against them. At the same time, the violence of the operations carried out on the eastern and southern fronts is increasing. Russian troops now continue to use their last strength with their last attack. Russian troops are still trying their luck in Bakhmut on the Donetsk front. While mutual attacks have been continuing in this region for months, the Russian soldiers have not been able to reach their target. On the contrary, it is losing serious military resources and equipment on this front day by day. This time, the Russian forces are deploying tanks, mortars, and rocket artillery to attack many regions and their surroundings, such as Solder, Zelenopilya, and Klishkiivka on the Bakhmut front. At the same time, on the Kupiansk front, it is stated that it has deployed rocket artillery and mortars to several regions on the front, such as Petropavlivka, Stelmakivka, and Kacherivka. Russia is trying to deploy its equipment and ammunition on many fronts, after losing huge losses on top of the major defeats in recent days. This shows that Moscow may be preparing for new attacks. However, the achievements that he could not achieve at the beginning of the war are very difficult to achieve now. Because, as it is known, Russia, which had more military resources and equipment at the beginning of the war, now has much less resources. Many are even damaged waiting to be repaired. In the military field, as it is known, Russia, which lost many experienced soldiers at the beginning of the war, is now trying to continue the war with untrained and inadequately equipped soldiers after mobilization. He does not want to end the war in this way, as he will have to accept a major defeat if he withdraws. There have been many proposals to reach an agreement for this in recent days. But Ukraine continues successfully, and it seems that it will continue its struggle until there is not a single Russian soldier and equipment left on the territory of the country. On the other hand, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky met with French President Emmanuel Macron. During the meeting, it was announced that Macron promised to strengthen Ukraine's air defense. It was stated that the leaders also spoke about the situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. It was also announced that the two presidents decided to hold an international conference in Paris on the 13th of December to support Ukraine in the winter period. Purpose of this conference is to gather the support of French companies. Each meeting between the leaders of such countries is so important that it can affect the course of the war. Because, as it is known, as a result of good agreements between countries, aid can increase during the war. This provides a great advantage to the country to which aid is provided on the fronts. In time, the importance of each move will become more critical. From now on, both countries should take the next step in line with more strategic goals and make every decision very carefully. Because, as it is known, there is no margin of error for both countries. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.